Hello everyone. So we will continue with the second part of the video. We had already discussed the previous section of the chapter, the best Christmas present in the world. So we'll continue and try to finish the explanation part of the story. So as you already know that the story started with the narrator buying a roll top desk in a junk shop. And when he tried to restore it, when he tried to repair it, he found that one of the drawers was stuck. So, with some force, he was able to open the drawer, and when he opened it, he found a small tin box. And what was written on the tin box? It was written that this letter might be buried with me when I die. And we also know what were the contents of the letter. So it was addressed to Connie Macpherson. So Connie Macpherson is the wife of the letter writer. Now, who is the writer of the letter? The writer is Jim Macpherson. And the contents were about a match that took place between the German and the British soldiers. So here Jim Macpherson, the writer who is writing this letter to his beloved wife, tells that he was very happy that day because it was Christmas time and he was able to see another side of the war. So this letter was written on the date of December 26, 1914. Now, as I have already told you that this was the time when the First World War was going on. So you can understand that the setting of the story is during the First World War. That is when the World War started in 1914. So the letter starts with addressing Connie that he was very happy, that Jim was very happy that Christmas Eve had arrived and that there was no war, there was no gunshots, there were no deaths because everyone was wishing each other Christmas. Here, the Germans who were nicknamed as Fritz. So, Fritz was a name for the German soldiers, and Tommy was a name which was used for the British soldiers. So, the Germans and the British soldiers, they were having a good talk with each other. They were sharing their food. They were playing with each other. They were playing. What were they playing? They were playing football with each other. And here we also come to know about two characters. They are the writer himself, Jim Macpherson, and the other is the German soldier, Hans Wolf. So, what are their actual occupations? Are they really soldiers? No, they are not. When there is a situation of war, mostly the people are sent away to fight at the forefront. So Hans Wolf was actually a cello player. He used to play the instrument of cello in the orchestra, while Jim himself was a teacher in Dorset. But both were fighting for their country. Now Jim explains that Hans Wolf was a cello player and he also was a person who knew almost perfect English. Even his favorite writer was an English person named Thomas Hardy. And what was his favorite book? It was Far from the Madding Crowd. So they continue playing the football match and finally they end up with the Germans scoring 2 goals while the English soldiers could not score any goal. So that night they sang songs and the letter ends with Jim telling that maybe after the war ends we will be in a more peaceful situation and we shall be together again soon. So now after this, what happens? The narrator now knows what is the content of this letter that he has accidentally come across. He did not mean to find this letter, but because he had bought the roll top desk, he was able to come across. He found this letter. Now he has read everything that was written in the letter. So now let's see what happens. I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport, just a few miles away. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beeches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shell, the roof gaping, the windows boarded up. So now the narrator, after reading the letter, he again puts it back into its original place, into the envelope. So he could not sleep that night. After reading the letter, he was awake. He was awake all night. Means he had a sleepless night. So he was so deep in thought that finally he decided that he had to do something. And he finally knew this by the morning. So he drove directly into Bridport, the particular place. And just a few miles away, just after reaching there, just a few miles away from that place, he found a boy and he asked the boy where Copper Beeches was. So when he reached this particular place, when he reached house number 12, he found that it was just a burned out shell. Means the whole place was destroyed by fire. It was burned out. It was destroyed by fire. And there were a lot of holes here and there, the roof, the windows all covered with wooden boards. I knocked at the door next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts of a Mrs. Macpherson. So now he has no other option but to take help from the nearby people. So he knocks at the neighbor's house and asks if there was anyone who knew about Mrs. Macpherson. So the old man who was addressed by the narrator, he comes out in his slippers and he says, "Yes, I know. She is a lovely old lady, but a little muddle-headed." So Mrs. Macpherson is a very lovely old lady, but she is a bit confused. Maybe because she was old, she had lost her memory. That's why she is said to be muddle-headed. Okay. So muddle-headed here is used as a adjective. But at her age, she was entitled to be, wasn't she? Okay. 101 years old. So the lady is 101 years old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. Now the story is coming up how the house had caught fire. So no one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. So a possibility was there that maybe because of candles the house caught fire, or maybe she used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. So there is a possibility that maybe the house was burned because of the candles, but no one is sure how the house caught fire. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now, he told me. Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of town. So finally, the narrator has got the whereabouts, the address of this old lady who is 101 years old. Where is she staying? She was in a nursing home. Why was she in a nursing home? Because she was caught in the fire, but she was found out by the fireman in time. She was taken out of the house and now she was staying in the nursing home, where Burlington House, which was situated on the Dorchester Road. Okay. I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains up in the hallway and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. I said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. So now you know why the narrator had gone to meet Mrs. Macpherson, because she had to be given a Christmas present. And what was this Christmas present? Can you guess? Yes, it is the letter that the narrator had found in the drawer. So he went there and he was able to locate the particular place where she was. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. The matron had a hat on too and seemed happy enough to see me. She even offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others. She is rather confused today, so we thought it best if she had a good rest. She has no family, you know, no one visits. So I am sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. So When the narrator reached the place, he saw that some of the people were wearing paper hats. Now you can imagine, like, it's like a birthday celebration, isn't it? So Christmas Eve is a celebration. It's a festive season, so everyone was celebrating. They were wearing the paper hats similar to the birthday hats that are worn during birthday parties, and they were singing. They were making merriment. So the matron came and told that Mrs. Macpherson was, however, not a member of this party. She was not participating. Why? Because she felt a bit confused, and therefore she was kept to rest. So the matron took the narrator towards the lady he was meant to meet. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair. You can see the old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. So she was very old and she had silver white hair. She was gazing out at the garden. So she was probably looking at the garden and thinking about something. And that's when the narrator said, "Hello." She looked at me vacantly. So she looked at the narrator vacantly without knowing, without having any idea. Okay. "Happy Christmas, Connie," I went on. "I found this. I think it's yours." As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. So when the narrator first addressed the woman, the woman was vacantly looking at him. She was not very much interested. But as soon as she saw that particular letter in the tin box, suddenly a sudden glow of happiness was in her face. Suddenly she became alive, as if she was now that old lady, that young lady who had first received that letter. So the narrator explains about the desk, about how he found it. But he thought that maybe Connie was not at all listening. Maybe the old lady was not at all listening. So for some time, this old lady said nothing. She only kept stroking the letter. She only kept gazing at the letter and touching it mildly, tenderly. Suddenly, she reached out and took my hand. And suddenly, Connie grasped the narrator's hand. And she was crying. Her eyes were filled with tears. "You told me you would come home by Christmas, dearest. And here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim, dear. Sit down." So, being an old lady and being confused, as it was already mentioned that she was a bit muddle-headed, she was confused. Maybe she had lost some of her memory. But when she saw the letter, she only remembered that her husband had told her that he would be back by Christmas. And when she saw the letter that was given to her by the narrator, she thought that the narrator himself was Jim. And that's why she reached out and took his hand and told him that you had promised that you would be here by Christmas. You are the best Christmas present in the world. So now you know why the story is titled as the best Christmas present in the world. Who received this best Christmas present? It was Connie Macpherson, the old lady, the 101 years old lady who received this best Christmas present. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. "I read your letters so often, Jim, every day. I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me. And now you are. Now you're back. You can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim, dear? I just want to hear your voice again. I would love that so much. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around. I know how much you love marzipan." So, here is where the story ends. But by now we have understood that the narrator, in a way, had given the best Christmas present to this old lady, because the letter was not the best Christmas present, but the thought that he himself was Jim, he himself was the husband, was the best Christmas present for the lady. And that's how the story it ends. So I hope you have understood the story. It is a very beautiful story where an accidental letter brings happiness to the life of an old lady who has been waiting for a lifetime almost for her husband to return back from the war. And you must have guessed what had happened during the war. Maybe he was already in the burial ground by the time that the letter had reached. But there was a hope that he would return, and this hope remained in the old lady's heart. So she was not able to accept that her husband had passed away. The husband was killed during the war. So when she sees the narrator with the letter, she believes that this very person who has given her the letter is her husband. And that's how this glow of happiness comes in her face. And she starts talking to the narrator, and that's how the story ends. I hope you will go through the story. I hope you have understood. So that is the story all about. Thank you.